This is 7-5 Radio with Walter Yerkew and Peter Scoop Stanton. This is the radio show that will break your neck, if your neck needs breaking. And here are the hosts of 7-5 Radio, Walter Yerkew, star of the biggest documentary movie ever made, The 7-5, and Peter Scoop Stanton, who starred in To Catch a Predator.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Peter Scoop Stanton with Walter Yerkew and Mike Reichbrandt on 7-5 Radio. Check us out at 75radio.org. The number is 75radio.org. We are red hot rolling on the Liberty News Radio Network. And during that intro, 7 years later, that song still brings goosebumps to me, and that intro by one James Edwards brings a smile on my face. But let's get started. Walter, how are we doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you. I hope you're doing well tonight too.
I'm doing great. I know you. Well, I know you're bright-eyed, bushy-tail. Mike, how are we doing tonight?
Doing great, brother. Great. Thank you.
You sure you got? It sounds like you got a frog in your throat.
I had a little bit of allergies, man.
Oh yeah. Well, everybody's going through that, especially down here in D.C. They got this cherry blossom season, and you got thousands of people coming in to look at trees. But anyways, it is Saturday, the 12th of April, 2025. As always, let's get started. First order of business, we want to remember members of the law enforcement community murdered in the line of duty. Fortunately, tonight we have no names to read off. Also, we want to say hello to all of our special listeners, including Little Billy Keebler and the men and alleged women of the Yanadosas, New York Fire Department. Be safe, one and all. Also, shout out to New York's finest, New York's bravest, New York's boldest, New York's strongest, and those living on Long Island in the 2nd Congressional District. Our first story tonight has to deal with some tragedies in our airwaves. Thursday, you had a helicopter with 6 souls, one pilot and a family taking a tour on the west side of Manhattan Island. And just before it was supposed to land, it just disintegrated and crashed, killing all 6. And then Friday in Boca Raton, Florida, you had a Cessna plane with 3 souls aboard, crashed, and all souls were lost. Well, it's really interesting. We got these different aircraft crashing. Real quick, the chopper in New York was built by Bell Helicopter in 2004. In September, had some transmission issues, and over the years, this particular model helicopter had a number of defects that had to rectify. And the plane in Boca Raton was built in 1977. The other thing I have from 1977 is the clothes I still wear, but the thing's almost 50 years old and is still in the air today. Guys, would you board an aircraft built in 1977? Well,
I doubt it, man. When we talked earlier, I told a story that some years ago in northeastern Tennessee, up by Pigeon Forge, my son and I took a helicopter ride, and went over the Smoky Mountains and such. And I got to tell you, man, that helicopter was shaking when we were up in the air. We probably went up 2,000 feet and swept around, but man, it was rattling. No, I wouldn't go up. No. 757, 767, I'm not happy about those, but yeah, I'd rather be in one of those than a helicopter that takes off every 2.5 hours to go up and down the Hudson River. Lord knows when the NTSB is going to look at the maintenance records on these tourist rides, so to speak. But no, I wouldn't. How about you, Mike? Would you go up in a 77 helicopter? I mean, Kobe Bryant had millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he bought the cheapest helicopter he could find. So Take it away, Mike.
Well, real quick before Mike steps in, the helicopter was built in 2004. The plane that crashed in Boca Raton was built in 1977, the year Star Wars came out.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Mike. What say you?
It seems like all this is like maintenance issues, right? Like the one common denominator you see all the time in these crashes is the maintenance issues. You have the air traffic control issues too, but the common denominator amongst most of this is maintenance. The helicopter, I guess, supposedly something like a nut at the top of the rotor or whatever that came off and allowed the rotor to disassemble and take out the craft. But it just seems like maintenance issues. So I'd be real sketchy about getting on anything that flies right now until they fix this maintenance issues thing that's going on, because it seems like nobody's maintaining anything, especially not a plane from '77.
Right. Mike, you and I both know our time in the U.S. Navy is that maintenance was a huge thing. So especially after 1979 when the helo was going to Iran to rescue those hostages crashed. And you and I both know that those all that aircraft throughout the Department of Defense is very well maintained. Records are meticulous. Even when as a shipboard firefighter, we had to do maintenance on like hoses and Y valves and things like that. Still we had to document everything. But one thing, Walter, you brought up during our weekly talk was that everybody is talking about thoughts and prayers. What's your Andy Rooney moment for everybody saying thoughts and prayers to everybody about everything?
I don't know exactly what all that means. Thoughts and prayers. It's between these two accidents, and they were horrible accidents. People lost their lives. Their families lost these people in these accidents. It's horrible. However, Mayor Adams said thoughts and prayers go up to the families. The police commissioner said the same thing. And then at the Boca accident, the mayor of Boca said the same thing that Eric Adams said the day before. You had the lieutenant mayor say the same thing that the mayor in Boca said. And then that the lady that's the chairperson for the NTSB, she said the same thing that the police commissioner said. The thoughts and the prayers. And that's fantastic. That's wonderful. But I really don't know what it means. I don't think when it's said that often that it has any meaning except to say it because it may be the politically correct thing to say. May they rest in peace. That's what I say. I have a friend of mine who I haven't seen in probably 30 years from my high school, graduated high school. Passed away yesterday, and I saw the notice on Facebook. And Joe, rest in peace. I don't know about thoughts and prayers and stuff. I don't know where they would go. The good Lord is supposed to take us, in at the gates of heaven, and He'll take care of everything, from there on out. So I really don't know. I'm not trying to be facetious or anti-sympathetic or sympathetic. I'm not, but the people saying the same cliches is what it is. It's a cliche. I don't necessarily like cliches, but hopefully I'm the only idiot that thinks like that. I want the rest of the world to be happy, but I just don't get it. It's an empty thought to me. It's an empty statement that really doesn't carry any weight. The way it's thrown around so loosely. And do I feel bad about these people? Of course I do. Of course I do. Human life is sacred. It's special. The odds of you being born are astronomical to begin with. And when you lose it, again, it's astronomical. We don't know. This guy was a CEO in Spain for a big company, and he had 3 small children, 11 and under, and his lovely wife. They all lost their lives for a 45-minute thrill, to go up and down the Hudson River, which, you probably see a dead body or two floating down the river. But like I said, the thoughts and prayers and thing, it needs to be said better in a different way with more heart than just saying it. Period. And that doesn't take away from all the first responders in the NYPD, FDNY, the EMS, the Jersey PD, the Jersey Harbor, New York City Harbor. They were all out there in moments to that accident site. So.
All right. When we come back, we'll get Mike's take on thoughts and prayers if it's played out or not. Also, Mike's fellow veteran, Governor Tim Walz, got booed. And also, tariffs, the stock markets, DEI, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Stay tuned, everybody. Take it away, boys.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began. Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
You're back, and Scoop is just getting done staring at Danila's Instagram account. Here's more 7.5 Radio.
This is 7.5 Radio with Scoop Stanton, Walter Yerkew, and Mike Regbrand. We're talking about the tragedies in the air in Florida and New York. Walter was saying the term thoughts and prayers is overplayed. Mike, real quick, do you think thoughts and prayers is the new have a nice day saying?
Yeah, it's virtue signaling, right? It's just social media made virtue signaling just extreme. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the extreme version of social media virtue signaling brought to life in politics and everyday life. People don't mean anything by it. They have no real intent behind it. It's just hollow.
Right. Yeah. Like what Walter was saying, if it's somebody like we know or we knew that's no longer with us, of course, thoughts and prayers. And we're going to contact that person, say, God forbid one of our parents passed or one of our children passed, we'll be on the phone, text each other saying, our thoughts and prayers are with you. You have our condolences, you need anything, but, yada, yada, yada. But anyways, yeah, it's played out, so we'll wait till the next phrase. First it was have a nice day, then it was thoughts and prayers. Yeah, I got thoughts, and I pray too. I mean, and so what? But anyways, moving right along, the U.S. Army had some of the greatest warriors to ever walk God's green earth. Those people include Sergeant Alvin York, Major Audie Murphy, General George Patton, General Dwight Eisenhower, and Sergeant Tim Walz. Mike, I want you to take it away about this next story, just how the Governor Walz, who is a war hero, got booed by other veterans. What say you, Mike?
It was absolutely perfectly suitable. He's a complete disgrace. I can't believe this guy's still trying to parade himself out as something like that. You know, what a hollow, nasty, just a disgusting person, you know? Even the horse this guy was friggin' torturing didn't like him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the fact that he got booed is like, you know, to me they should have just stomped on him. I mean, just the guy is just disgraceful. He's absolutely disgusting and disgraceful. But it just shows you where that his whole party is. You know, they're fakes, they're frauds, and he's just a living, breathing example of that, of just how really immoral and disgusting they are. You know, and I'm glad they booed that guy. I mean, I probably would have done worse. I would have definitely been screaming at him, but it's just a disgrace. I can't believe this guy's still trying to be relevant. You know, just go away. Just go away somewhere. You know, stop. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear you talk. You didn't go to combat. You ran away like the damn coward you are. You know, just stop.
Well, he did double time to the HR office or PSD for us to put in his paperwork. But anyways, well, what say you about Elmer Fudd getting booed by real veterans who went on deployments?
He's a freaking coward. You know, it's, you know, big capital letters right on his forehead, and he's not going to be able to erase him off or fade him out. He's a coward. And on top of it, he doesn't address it, except that, you know, we have it wrong. You know, like his Tiananmen Square visit. During Tiananmen Square, he was there 6 months after it happened. Oh, he was mistaken. He misspoke. You know, did he misspeak? You know, when his unit was being deployed, did he misspeak and say, "Well, no, I'm going to retire"? Was that a misspoken word? You know, he's a coward. You know, he hasn't faced anything in his life head on. Period. Even the trying to become vice president, he didn't even face that head on because nobody liked him because of that nonsense and that ridiculousness. You know, and he thinks he's going to try and make a scoot for the presidency in 28 because some idiot thought he would make a good vice president. Come on, man.
Right.
He's a coward.
Well, hopefully he does run for president. Hopefully he does get the nomination. And it'd be very interesting to see. But anyways, enough about him. Again, he's one of the people I mentioned last week for 7th anniversary show because he just gives us so much stuff. But
it'd be a great debate between. It'd be a great presidential debate between him and JD.
Right. It would. Right. It wouldn't.
He destroyed him at the vice president debate, and he'll cremate him in a presidential debate.
Right. But you know we can only dream. But moving on to the next story, tariffs. People getting their panties in a bunch over these tariffs. Now, I did some research, and the Eddie Mush of Wall Street, Jim Cramer, said that tariffs are going to be bad, which means tariffs will put the economy into the stratosphere. And what gets me is that we go back to Occupy Wall Street of 2011, and all these people are saying, "Oh, enough with the 1%, Main Street over Wall Street." Rich get richer, stop bailing out millionaires and billionaires. And then all of a sudden the stock market takes a nosedive because of the tariffs on the countries that also charge us tariffs, which means if you go to anywhere in Europe, you cannot buy a Ford F-150 pickup or a Chevy Silverado pickup or a Jeep Grand Cherokee because they have tariffs. So these people were upset years ago, and then all of a sudden, as they get a little bit older, they get a little money in the bank, and they just absolutely flip their wigs. Meanwhile, in real America, outside of the Beltway, outside of Manhattan Island, you got cities like Detroit, cities like Cleveland, cities like Buffalo, Syracuse, New York, Utica, New York, Gary, Indiana, so on and so forth, and the Rust Belt, that are just absolutely decimated because the jobs left. Once the jobs left, the people left. It's called brain drain, and these cities are just a shell of their once greatness. And especially if we go to upstate New York where my parents live, Yanadasas, that's a lost cause. They had nothing to begin with. But anyways, you would see these huge buildings that used to make things. So I think tariffs are important because we need to have things that we need to have a manufacturing base. Like I said before. So, anyways, these people don't know what they're talking about. They lose a couple of dollars, while the rest of the country's falling apart. Mike, what say you about tariffs and people losing their mind over stock market free fall?
I mean, it bounced back immediately, right? And it had one of its best days ever recently. I mean, so it was nonsense, doom speaking by people who didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But I've been talking about this since before my campaign and even during my campaign. If you really want to restore American prosperity, you have to bring back a manufacturing and agriculture basis. That's what made us strong during World War II. It's what carried us through. And, NAFTA and all the other, programs that were meant to just ship everything overseas or pay farmers not to farm, that's what led us to where we are. That's what destroyed the country. It destroyed the job market, destroyed the economy. So, tariffs will give you short-term pain, but the long-term gains are astronomical. It's a restoration of America. It's a restoration of the actual job base, of the actual real people in America, not the so-called elites.
Right. Well, what say you? Should we have tariffs, or should we be just pumping up the stock market?
The tariffs are just fine. They won't last forever. Inflation would last forever until our country just went flat broke. Which, in the next 15 to 20 years, 30 years, we would be broke, Social Security included. So, the tariffs and throwing it back out at these countries that have been taking advantage of us. And it's just normal, everyday American citizens have known this for years and years. Trump turned things around in 17, 18, and 19. And then we got hit with the COVID. So it really didn't take a good foothold, so to speak. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it depends on how you look at it, Trump didn't win. Trump wasn't declared the winner in 20, and everything went to crap. Everything went to crap. And now he's trying to do it. Now he knows better. He could do it. He knows how to do it quicker. And he's got the correct people in place. He doesn't have leftovers from Obama hanging around the White House anymore. He got rid of all of Biden's people, and they're done, finished, finito, gone. And now the left doesn't like it because they're being exposed in more ways than one, not only through Doge, but the tariffs that were pressed upon us, the United States, for so many years. I'm sure people had their hands out and filled up their pockets with all that cash. But the tariffs are going to work. People just need to be patient, and I just implore people to be patient. I remember when I bought 2 properties in 2007. And then Obama got elected, and I couldn't flip the houses. I was going to take a loss. I had to wait until he got out of office. 8 years I had to wait to get my money back and then some. So you got to be patient. You can't just say, oh, crap, I lost 25% of my life savings. I better get out before I lose half of it. That's really not the way it works. Your 401ks are going to take a slam, but they forget that during the Trump years, the 401ks, they came back to the people who held out, not to the people that bailed. And it's unfortunate, but you just got to be patient.
Right, but in this instant economy where everything's got to be done instantaneously, people flip out. Anyways, we come back. We'll talk about one of my relatives got arrested. Also, the White House is not putting up with pronouns. DEI person that performs as expected. And if we got time, my car buying experiences. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Certified Radio.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. United States says the first round of nuclear talks with Iran were very positive and constructive. Both sides agreed to meet again next Saturday. U.S. will exclude electronics like smartphones and laptops from President Trump's reciprocal tariffs. Mr. Trump says the administration could help keep the prices down for the popular consumer electronics that aren't usually made in the U.S. Republicans are investigating alleged collusion among Ivy League schools to raise tuition rates and limit financial aid.
Republicans in the House and Senate have sent a letter to the presidents of 8 prominent schools, raising concerns about alleged price fixing. Earlier this year, a lawsuit was filed against Georgetown and 14 other prominent colleges for allegedly colluding on tuition prices and using a shared method of determining a student's financial aid needs. It's alleged that method may have led to higher tuition prices and favored the admission of students that would be the most financially profitable for the colleges. Bob Agnew reporting.
Also at townhall.com, a New York judge relaxing a ban she'd put on Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, preventing it from accessing sensitive information. President Trump says he's open to bringing back a Maryland man who was accidentally and mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
A federal judge told a government lawyer it was extremely troubling that he had no information about the whereabouts of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. A day earlier, the Supreme Court said the administration must facilitate the man's return to the U.S., and President Trump indicated to reporters on Air Force One he would do that if that's what the justices want.
If the Supreme Court said bring somebody back, I would do that. I respect the Supreme Court.
On Monday, the president will host El Salvador's president at the White House. Greg Clugston traveling with the president in West Palm Beach, Florida.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Do you owe $10,000?
You hear the term living better. What do you think about? More money, a bigger house, maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How do you wake up each day? How do you sleep during the night? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. It doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. How do I know? Absolutely am a customer. I take Relief Factor daily. No lower back pain for me anymore. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Just one phone call, 800-4-RELIEF, 800-4-RELIEF. Relief Factor, relief wherever you're hurting in 3 weeks or even days. Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for the one and only Relief Factor.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at cspoa.org. That's cspoa.org.
you're still listening, here's more 7-5 Radio.
And we are back. Scoop Stanton with Walter Yerkew and Mike Rigbrandt. Here's a story about somebody in Washington, D.C. that really put my faith in humanity back. And we're not talking Alex Ovechkin. I thought the story was a fake news story. I verified it is true. But anywho, a crossing guard in Washington, District of Columbia, was arrested for selling drugs from her car while she was at work. This crossing guard lady near Rhode Island Avenue was working, and I guess in between shifts or in between school hours, she was sitting in her car, and people were walking up and doing what we call hand-to-hands. And somebody dropped some dimes and said this lady named Sharon, who's a crossing guard at Rhode Island Avenue, is selling dope. So Metropolitan Police observed a hand-to-hand transaction and arrested her. So anyways, just you can't make this stuff up. You got a crossing guard who's watching your kids, making sure they don't get hit by a car, because I drop my kids off at school. It's a mess. These parents are nuts. You need to have crossing guards. It's a necessity. So anyways, this lady is in between kids crossing the street. She's selling crack from her automobile. Walt, what say you? Is this something you experienced in the 7-5?
No, I never did that.
No, do you know of crossing guards on the job who sold drugs out of their car?
No, never heard of such a thing. That was happening. Never heard of such a thing, especially when they were on duty. I guess it's just the new generation is just horrible. Making $1 wherever they can, the extra $1 wherever they can, and selling it at crosswalks and stuff. That's so stupid. No, I never heard of such a thing, man. Never heard of such a thing.
Mike, what say you? Can you pick up an 8-ball at your kid's school with the crossing guard?
No, not that I'm aware of. No 8-balls near the school by me. I do know there was a female cop assigned to fleet services for the MIPD in like 2016 or 2017, I want to say. She was jammed up already. She was in trouble already for some kind of drug ties or whatever. She was modified and placed there. While she was there, she would do the mail run for them. So she would basically take all the in-department mail around and go drive around different facilities and pick up the mail and take it to 1PP and bring back stuff or whatever. While she was on duty in a police car doing that, she was making drug deals.
Oh boy.
So that was probably the most egregious one I know of that I've heard of anyway. I'm sure there's more, but that was the one that I could give you that most closely relates. But no crossing guards by me selling 8-balls that I know of. I'll keep you posted though.
No, I'm good, Mike. I'm good down here. But what kills me is that near my ex-wife's house, there's a gentleman. Unfortunately, he passed away. Thoughts and prayers to Joe McDonald, who was a crossing guard. He retired from the car industry, and this guy he bought stuff out of his own pocket to make sure that these kids were safe, and he was well liked by everybody. And unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Meanwhile, you got these idiots at the Washington D.C. hires to go sling dope while your kids are crossing the crosswalk. And my thing is, if you're going to sell drugs, sell drugs. If you want to be a crossing guard, protect our kids, be a crossing guard, but don't do both. I mean, think of the guy from the Chappelle Show, Tyrone Biggums, coming to that neighborhood that's right near that school to go buy some crack. Anyways, that's Washington D.C. for you. Anybody? Any other comments on the crack selling crossing guard?
I don't know. Is she going to become a rapper? Like Biggie Smalls.
or is she a producer? Anyways, we can go on. We can go on and on. Wasn't Jay-Z? Didn't Jay-Z sell dope too?
There were a lot of them did.
But was that Or is that a prerequisite? All right, you want to be a famous rapper, you got to say you sold dope, but you lived in Westchester County, or you lived on the Gold Coast of Long Island. But I digress. But moving right along, I got some good news. The White House is not playing with the pronouns. If you are a media personality, reporter, and you send an email to the White House concerning media stuff, and you have your pronouns at the bottom, like Scoop Stanton, him, her, or him, her, it, they're not going to answer it because the White House says there's only two genders. So, which I'm very happy, because if you go on the website, you see a clip that the U.S. Navy put out for pronouns. And when I watched the clip, I was like, oh, my God, my time back in the day, if we had that going on, or somebody going around and saying the pronouns, they would be just absolutely eviscerated, worse than you guys did to me on January the 4th. But kudos to the White House not putting up this Bravo Sierra, and hopefully everybody takes hold. Walt, what say you? Do you use pronouns?
No. Send an email, sign off, and then say, CC for him, her, they, them, us, sometimes, whatever the hell they call themselves. Who gets it? Only one person gets it, the CC.
Right.
I bother putting different people, different pronouns at the end of an email. It's just redundant. It's ridiculous. Just get over it, please. Get over it.
Right, Mike. What say you about what are your pronouns?
Mine are stop it. This stuff is ridiculous. The pronoun thing was absolutely stupid. It was just stupid. I wish I had a better word for it, but it was just stupid. It was, let's play pretend. No, let's not. Let's all get back to being actual people again. I'm glad they did that. It's a return to sanity.
Right. But anyways, we do have pronouns here on 7.5 Radio. All five of us have the exact same pronoun. It is fool around and find out. Anywho, moving our next wonderful story. DEI worked exactly as expected in Prince George's County, Maryland. A young black lady became a member of the Prince George's County Police Department, and she liked BMWs. And unfortunately, on her new civil servant salary, she could not afford a BMW. So what did she do? She went to Reagan National Airport across the river in Arlington County, Virginia, and took a few. When I say a few, she took 3 cars. And what's really interesting, these cars were parked by her house because BMW has GPS on them. And one of the vehicles had her uniform police jacket. Another vehicle had her Bluetooth information on the dashboard. So this young lady was subsequently fired. She was arrested and charged, but then the Commonwealth attorney dropped the charges, probably because she's going to flip. So anyways, great job, Prince George's County Police Department. DEI wins again. Mike, what say you? Would this person do well in the NYPD as a DEI hire?
No, it's the same thing you're seeing everywhere, right? You're reducing standards, you're completely eliminating standards to meet some kind of demographic quota. So what happens? You end up, recruiting crap, people that are predisposed to do, things they shouldn't be doing. So it's not surprising. It's unfortunate. It makes us all look bad, and I don't like it. But I mean, it's not surprising at all.
Right. Well, what say you? Would you hire her for your last position?
No, you see, I agree with Mike 100%. It's got to stop. Lowering the standards, lowering the entry is just killing our country for the future. Really. We talked about the helicopter earlier, and a lot of accidents are caused by, bad maintenance. Well, nobody takes pride in their work anymore because they don't know. They've never been taught. They just get hired to do something and they wing it.
Yeah.
Can't wing it anymore. You can't.
Yeah.
Right. You can't wing it if you're a mechanic on aircraft. You can't wing it if you're in a position where you're carrying a loaded firearm. You can't wing it in medicine when people's lives depend on you. And we see what's been happening, and we just pushed it under the rug, like the Boeing 737 800 series. Those things are crashing, and all of a sudden it just went away. They don't say like why these planes kept crashing. But anyways, we come back. We'll talk about a special moment in the world of sports. Also, if we got time, talk about me buying an automobile. This is 7.5 Radio. Take it away, boys.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
The Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The Foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education, conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing Foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various Foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
This is 7.5 Radio with Walter Yuku. Walter Yurkow. Walter Kiwi. Here's Walton Scoop.
And we are back. Scoop Stanton with Walter Yurku and Mike Greg Brandt. I was a little distracted looking at the Instagram account of Danila Rodrigues. She was in nowhere, Pennsylvania, watching her kids play some sports, freezing her took us off. Looked absolutely beautiful, freezing her ass off. Anywho, one of our final stories was really touching to me. Alex Ovechkin from the Washington Capitals broke Wayne Gretzky's record, scoring 895 goals. And to me, this was a real class act all around because Gretzky wanted to be there when the record was broken. Why? Because Gordie Howe was there back in 1991 when the record was broken. And when Gretzky broke the record, Mrs. Gordie Howe, Colleen Howe, was there. So this past Sunday when Ovechkin broke Gretzky's record, Gretzky was there, his wife Jennifer Jones was there, and two of Gretzky's sons were also there supporting Ovechkin. And also, Mrs. Gretzky, Jennifer Jones, carried on the tradition of presenting Mrs. Ovechkin with a gift. And Alex brought out his entire family, his wife, his mother, his father-in-law, his kids, a whole bunch of people. And he gave thanks to not only to Wayne Gretzky, but to everybody involved, including the team. And he said, "We did it. We did it, not him. We did it. Also, Gretzky also wore a number 9 pin on his lapel. Number 9 was Gordie Howe's number. So it just all around, just very, very nice, very classy. And that's one thing about professional sports. We don't, there's no class anymore. It's a bunch of thugs, gangbangers, degenerates out there thugging, being degenerates. I don't want my kids following these professional athletes. Both my kids are into football now. Thankfully,
and that's just the WNBA.
Right. I think if I had to go toe to toe with some of these WNBA superstars, I'd get the short end of the stick. But like I was saying, my kids really love football now, and they were following the Commanders' wonderful season. And thankfully, the new quarterback, Jane Daniels, is a class act. He hasn't done anything yet to tell my kids, oh, don't be like that. So, but anyways, kudos to Wayne Gretzky for keeping up the tradition and being a class act, being there when he broke the record. Also, kudos to Alex Ovechkin, who did pay tribute to Gretzky at the ceremony in Long Island. He actually bowed towards Gretzky, recognizing Wayne for all his accomplishments. And during one of the press conferences, both Gretzky and Ovechkin were talking about the other legends of the National Hockey League. So there's actually hope in humanity. You got one Washingtonian selling crack out of their car as a crossing guard. You have another Washingtonian just being humbled, even though he broke a record that hasn't been broken in 34 years. Mike, I'll give it to you first. What say you, since this did occur in your backyard? Mike?
You there?
Well, I guess we lost Mike.
I'm sorry about that. Lost you for a second. I'm here.
Oh. All right, what say you about the... Go ahead.
It's I think it's pretty impressive. I think it's amazing. It's great to see. It's inspiring. It's what we need to see a lot more of.
Right. Walt, what say you, since I know you probably were following the Oilers and the Islanders back in the 80s about this touching moment?
Well, I just, remember in the 80s, with the Islanders, to 4 straight Stanley Cups, Bossy, Trottier, Potvin, Gillies, they were all good, solid players. Bossy was a goal scorer of that new generation there in the 80s. He did very well with goal scoring. And then Gretzky came along in another generation, and now you have, yet another generation. So it shows how the sport, each sport really, just progresses from one era to another era. And when the record breaker, when he breaks the record, if the former record holder is still alive, because some of the records that are going to be broken, people are dead. I mean, Roger Maris, and Babe Ruth. With the home run records and such, it's good for the sport and it's good for humanity when it's a good experience. I liked the way it was handled. I liked the way it was handled, and it was very, very classy. Put it back into the game and get more spectators to believe in sports again, professional sports, except for the thugs and the hookers and stuff of the WNBA, except for that.
Right. What's funny is that, everybody wants, these idiot leftists are pushing, men in women's sports, but nobody's suggesting, hey, why don't we have transgender men in the WNBA? But that'd be interesting to see.
They might already make their quota, so just hold on to that thought for a little while.
Right. Anyways, finally, we got a couple minutes left. This past weekend, I was car shopping, and I'm just absolutely sick and tired and disgusted with the car industry. Nowadays you can order groceries, furniture, clothing, food delivered to your front door. Wise, yeah, Wise, or some entertainment for 30 to 60 minutes. But
I wouldn't know nothing about that.
So, but the car industry hasn't changed since our great grandfathers were buying Model Ts. I go to these two car dealerships. I'm looking at the same brand of car, same car, and it's the same thing. Oh, the price advertised is one thing. You go in, and the price on the paper is another thing, and they got tactile registration and the quote unquote processing fee, and then they don't give you anything for your car. It's a runaround. And I went to two dealerships last weekend, and I was absolutely disgusted because here they are, thinking like I'm a jerk. And who knew the movie Used Cars was a documentary? And I talked to all these sales managers, and I said, listen, in about 1 to 2 minutes, you're going to tell me we're not that type of car dealer. We're a different type of car dealer. And sure enough, within 1 to 2 minutes, they said the exact same thing. And I decided, and I got so frustrated, I took the blank check I got from my bank, went to the bank, turned it in, and took pictures of the check and a picture of the bank and sent it to the sales managers of the dealerships. I'm at the point. I'm going to go buy my car online. Period. But anyway, so and then on top of that,
my comments.
Yeah, what say you, Walt?
Do you like BMWs?
Actually, no. They have a terrible reputation now. Those cars are overpriced junk.
I don't know. I got an '88 BMW convertible, man. It hasn't failed me yet. But that's besides the point. Now I got another question for you. When you call for that, 60-minute companionship, what do you do after the first 3 minutes for the next 57? In particular.
Well, I just I pay for services rendered, and it's like, here, you keep the rest. It's as a generous tip. Have a nice day. So, anyways, how would you know about 3 minutes or less? Mike, what say you since you're giggling?
You stopped going to the nursing home, so I figured,
How we get from buying cars to me looking for love in nursing homes? Why is it always me in nursing homes? Anyways, Mike, do you have anything to say this segment? We're just going to pour more gasoline in the dumpster.
Well, as far as the car thing, I don't think anybody's surprised by car dealerships being car dealerships and doing the same stupid things they've been doing for 50 years or so. They're awful to deal with. Every time you have to go, it's a giant pain in the ass. But as far as you in nursing homes, listen, this is a well-known, established fact. That's your proclivity. You like them when they're drooling and unable to fight back. So,
What do you mean proclivity? Just like you said, we texted about it, so it is true. I'm like, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. How's that true? Just because you and Walt talked about it, texted about it? Oh yeah, it's true. But anyways,
the complaint reports filed seem to indicate that it's true.
Yeah, the whatchamacallit reports the.
Those orders of protection from the nursing homes and stuff.
Right, but anyways, back to cars. You car dealers need to do better. You people suck. Anyways, for Walter Yerkew, and Mike Rakebrand, this is Peter Scoop Stanton, not in a nursing home, reminding you can make a difference. Go out and make us. See you next week.
Edwards for 7-5 Radio. For those who work the streets and the jails, thanks for keeping us safe. So long, everybody.